I'm Jill Hayward,
I'm Haley Paxton.
and we did our research project on Section 195 of the tax code. I'll start by explaining a little history and an overview of Section 195. In 1980, Congress enacted IRC Code Section 195 to regulate startup expenditures for businesses. So currently, $5,000 can be deducted in the first year of business, reduced by the amount by which such startup expenditures exceed $50,000. So of their startup expenditures, they can currently deduct $5,000 if the amount doesn't exceed $50,000. In 2010, there was a temporary law that was passed that allowed for a $10,000 deduction. So they wanted to increase the $5,000 deduction by $5,000. And this amount was reduced by the amount by which such startup expenditures exceeded $60,000. So this was a change from the $50,000. While the law was passed, the IRS didn't implement it into the tax code, so it's currently only a law for 2010. Prior to 2004, businesses could amortize their remaining expenditures over a 60-month period. But in 2004, they changed the law, and the remaining of these startup expenditures can be amortized over a 180-month period.
So we want to propose 3 changes to the current Section 195 tax code. We want to increase the $5,000 deduction to $10,000, and then increase the $50,000 limitation to $65,000. And then the last change we propose is to decrease the 180-month amortization to 60 months.
First, let's talk about the reasoning behind increasing the $5,000 deduction. So we would like to see the $5,000 deduction in the first year be increased to $10,000 just to provide some tax relief for these new businesses. Forbes states that 8 out of 10 businesses fail in the first 18 months, and new businesses are at a high economic disadvantage. They have a lot of costs with little tax relief. They have to pay for their startup expenditures, their costs in the first year of business, as well as their income tax. The Small Business Jobs Act of 2010 was approved by Congress in Obama. This amendment was applied to Section 195, which increased the limitation to $60,000 and then increased the deduction to $10,000. And this is the current change we want implemented in the current Section 195 tax code. We would also like to increase the $50,000 limitation to $65,000. The reasoning behind the $65,000, according to Babson College, on average it takes about $65,000 to start a business. So if you take this average amount into consideration, then the average business wouldn't get to deduct any of their startup expenditures in the first year of operation. By increasing the limitation to $65,000, it would allow more businesses on average to deduct some of these expenditures in the first year.
We want to change the 180-month amortization to 60-month amortization so that businesses will be able to deduct more expenses in starting years. Prior to 2004, businesses were allowed to amortize their remaining startup expenses over a 60-month period. In 2004, American Jobs Creation Act amended this to a 180-month period. The U.S. needs tax incentives in place to encourage the establishment of new firms. Because according to Forbes, it is crucial that we pursue national policies that promote innovation to ensure that there will be enough prosperity to carry on into the next generation. If the amortization period was changed to 60 months, then businesses would be provided with more tax relief in the first 5 years of business. In conclusion, Section 195 needs to be revised in order to encourage the formation of new businesses. With the high financial risk of new businesses, Section 195 should be modified in order to provide tax relief for these taxpayers.